Greetings, dear ones. My apologies for a couple minutes late. Had a lovely delivery, so I'm continuing my Christmas and hope that you are as well. Your beautiful holiday time, whatever you may celebrate. I celebrate them all because they are traditions that have been not only around on our planet for a long time, starting with last month's Diwali, season of light, as I mentioned, or the holiday of light, triumphing over dark. But also, of course, the solstice, where once again light overcomes darkness. And again, with Hanukkah, we have a miracle of light overcoming darkness, which would have occurred, of course, in the temple without the lamp being lit, lamps. And as well, we have in the Christian tradition the Christ light overcoming the darkness of ignorance and the darkness of belief that we cannot create our own reality with consciousness, with our own consciousness. In other words, staying in the dark and being victims of what occurs in conditions or circumstances around us. And that particular teacher, Jesus, showed us that anything is possible when you are deeply aligned with that knowing and with that divine intelligence, with the creative source of the universe. And as we move into Kwanzaa as well, that celebrates more of an earth based tradition and the seasons and harvesting and crops and working with the land. And to me, that reveals a different type of light, a light that is seen through constant growth and renewal and rejuvenation. And so we have all these different forms of light. And as we move into the new year, there's lots of fireworks and beautiful bright lights and shimmering jewels on and sequins on clothing. And it is bringing the new light of the year, or the light of the new year. So all of that is in the mix. Excuse me. I've also been seeing so many different reports about different astronomical discoveries and physics and astrophysics discoveries and quantum mechanics, where there's a lot of new evidence and information surrounding uh, subatomic particles, which have their own form of light. So they're going to be in the mix today, as well as the Parker Solar Probe made it back from the sun. It is the closest man-made device to have passed by the sun and brought much more information than we've ever had before. It made it back safely, which is wonderful. We also have a lot of different star alignments. Mercury is here this week to activate, catalyze, in a very Mercury is also known as quicksilver when we're talking about alchemy, and very significant and important in that alchemical transmutation process. So we have Mercury here speeding things up, catalyzing things, helping us do this evolutionary leap in an extremely rapid way. As I've said before, instead of several hundred years, which is what would normally take place in a species that is going through a large evolutionary process, this is actually kind of condensed into a generation and a half, 2 generations. And that is because we also have the galaxy, and the universe is evolving as well. So we have, and I know I say that frequently, and it really doesn't have a lot of apparent physical representation here on the earth, but just realize that we have come to the end of a cycle within this universe. We've come to the end of exploring a certain level of separation, duality, and we have all, as souls participating in this universe, decided to do something different. So we have those representations of the darkest of the dark and the most destructive here on our very planet, as well as the incredible innovations and advances, not only in science and technology and mechanics, but also within us. We have so many people seeking means, not just in our country, the United States, but around the world, seeking new ways to resolve social issues, resolve economic issues, resolve land and how we treat the environment. There equally are forces that are attempting to stop all of that progress and push us backwards into the way it's always been. But there is too much of a pull forward. There are too many people who want a world that not only is sustainable and that healthy and beautiful and fruitful, but also are considering other generations. So it's very exciting. It's going to be very, very difficult for a while. And then as we are really feeling, and that's the whole point of what we're heading into, these examples of the more the most control over and suppression and elimination of freedoms in as many ways as possible. Another country, this morning I read, New Zealand, which has always been a very forward thinking country, very taking into consideration their indigenous population, the Maori, and making laws that would protect their way of being and their land. And there is a very far right government that was put in, let's say. And once again, all of those freedoms, all of that protection of indigenous ways and things that would protect people in general are already being overturned. So we have, just one after the other country falling to oligarchy or authoritarianism or tyranny. And it's looking like there aren't going to be very many democracies left. So that's going to be scary, and it's going to be very, very difficult, but it is going to be felt by so many people on so many levels that we are forced to take action, just like in an individual life, until things get so bad that we cannot tolerate it any longer. That's when we make those changes. So it's on a global scale as well as a galactic level. The information that I've been receiving from the Council of Elders that I work with, and called the Ancients, an intergalactic council that has been channeling information to me for the past couple decades. There is an intensification of altercations in the galaxy. However, once again, that is at its limit. So the galaxy is changing insofar as, well, just think of Star Wars, kind of frame it in that there are dark forces on a very large scale, a very large galactic scale, who are attempting to control, suppress, have all the access to all the resources, finances, etc. in the galaxy, and that has been pushed against for so long, and the tide is turning. Let's put it that way. Here on the planet Earth, it's not turning quite as yet, but it will be. With your participation, my participation, it does take a village, in this case, a global village, to be able to do what we're going to do. So it's very exciting. It's very difficult at times to see the level of destruction, see and feel the level of destruction and loss that is occurring and that will continue and get even worse. But there is light at the end of the tunnel. And that's been a subject or a theme throughout this week, is light at the end of the tunnel. And although it may be just the tiniest of glimmers right now, we must know that it is there. We must experience that in our individual, personal transmutation process. And certainly with my clients, because this is such an accelerated process that they go through, they see that light much more quickly than some of the kind of adjusting to and handling and managing issues, rather than complete transmutation or transfiguration, which completely changes it, and their lives are materially, permanently different. So that is here. I also want to announce quickly that on Monday night at 7:30, I am going to be doing a year-end mini kind of virtual workshop where we're going to be creating space for the new by accessing those. It's kind of like cleaning out your internal closets a bit. I'm going to do a day long in January, but this is just going to be a mini, and actually bringing in new helpers, bringing in new guides, bringing in new forms of oneself. So keep your eyes peeled for that. And yes, today we are continuing with the energetics of light in all its many forms. Starlight continues to be very, very powerful. We have the star Antares this week, many others. These have been guides and information sources for thousands of years, as man looked upwards and watched the movement of the stars and the planets and the constellations, but also through their mythological significance and the information that they brought through the individual stars within a constellation and the constellation as a whole. So I really invite you. There's great apps that you can get on your phone. Sky Tonight, I think, is one that I have, and you just point it up at the sky, and it lets you know what stars and what their positions are, and where you are in relation to them. They're fabulous apps, and that can really build a relationship with our star teachers and with the constellations and through mythology. And I invite you to explore those mythological figures, not just as story, legend, something that is make-believe, but in fact that those are teachers, just like animal teachers, just like nature teachers, are here and come forward at any given moment to give us more information. We have so much help, so much help. We are not alone in this, either as individuals or as a species, by any means. So the more you have of yourself, the more you can feel into yourself, the more you are in tune with and can cooperate and collaborate with those teachers that show up. So I will be starting a group in January where we're going to really be diving in and learning about how to access those companions that may be lifelong companions in the non-physical to you. They may be experts that come in at any given moment and teach you and bring you information and revelations and then step away again. Just like I called a handyman this morning to help me do several things in my home. And he's going to come in, he's going to do what he needs to do, and then I won't need to call on him again for some time. So just like that, there are experts in every area of our life, in every area of our existence, that are accessible and there and offering. Not all at the same time, because we are not studying everything all everywhere all at once. So as we are progressing in our own exploration, so too do those experts step forward, or we can call them in. So again, I'm very excited about this group. We're going to have, one-on-one time for 3 different people each session, as well as group and a very deep dive. And you'll learn how to pull forward helpers that you didn't even know were there. You'll learn how to call upon different energetics throughout the universe and really work with them, collaborate with them, not just kind of know about them and, oh, that's nice, but literally arms up to your elbows, digging in, working with them. So I'm very excited about that. And that starlight and constellations that are here, we have diamond energy and diamond light. I have a lot of my little sparklies on today representing that, because there are industrial diamonds being created in a matter of an hour that allows for different electronics, all different types of equipment to function, where we may not have to dig things out of the ground and take it from Mother Earth. Also, there are discoveries of quantum fields, quantum energy within diamonds themselves. So if anybody's seen some of the movies, Doctor Strange, Ant-Man, where they explore into the quantum, you'll know that from that, at the very least, there are worlds within the very, very tiny, or atomic and subatomic, and even further. And science is discovering more and more in those areas. So it's exciting and wonderful, and must be also honored, protected, and funded. So watch where government or other sources are pulling funding from schools, from science administration, or rather science organizations, etc. Because you get to decide if you want your future to be sourced from wonderful and easy means without destroying other aspects of the earth. You get to decide. It's not in someone else's hands. It's not in some government's hands. It's not in some private entity's hands. The more you know, the more you are able to choose, whether it's about your individual, internal world, or whether it's about our outer world. So please stay informed. There's so many people that don't want to see, I don't want to hear the news, I don't want to know what's going on, I don't want to lower my vibration at all, which actually creates much more separation. For all and both are part of our existence. And the more we push away that which appears negative or destructive or harmful, the more separation we're creating, whether it's in our own lives or on a larger scale. So please, it doesn't mean you have to get swept up in it, but it does mean that we must know. You must do everything you can to be as fully aware of and conscious of not just your own actions, but what's going on the other side of the world, because that, in our day and age, is affecting you here. So again, I'm trying to find a medium. If anyone knows, I'm happy and very open to hear of a means by which we can each post discoveries, post innovations, post information about different areas that are endangered, so that we can all put our creative energies towards those sources or towards those situations and change them. So, enough, I think, is in the container. We do have a great deal of magic, different forms of magic. And by magic, I refer to something that is beyond our imagination. Miracles are things that can occur. We can see a miracle, or we can see what could be a miracle, whether it's an illness going away, a resolution to something. But when we're talking about magic, it's something that is beyond our imagination and can happen just that quick. I mean, like that. So we have a lot of that energy here with the innovations and progress that we are seeing in science and engineering, etc., that resolutions to problems can occur very quickly. And I also want to invite and acknowledge the light of flame. Candles are very, very significant lamps throughout this holiday season. And that glow and that heat and that warmth and the color that comes from either firelight or even a small candle is very, very special, because it's so alive and has such a concentration of light energy, heat energy, and is so, there's so much movement in it, and yet it is so delicate and fragile in one way, and yet so strong in others that it can illuminate a darkened room with just a candle. So I want you to really hold that as well. All of these forms of light, our own intelligence, awareness is a light in and of itself. The light within us to seek and to explore and to discover and to change. That too is a way of light. So just take a couple nice deep breaths. I invite you to not necessarily hold either the in-breath or the out-breath at this moment. Just allow for some air to come in. And I know there's many teachings about belly breathing and abdominal breathing, but I'm going to invite you to just allow yourself to feel your rib cage and your upper torso just widen a bit with each breath. It's very challenging oftentimes to bring that breath deeper down into your body, because in those places are where we store our emotions and our memories, and that can be very challenging for your defense system. So I'm going to invite you to just breathe and allow yourself to feel just a little bit of opening and widening of your chest cavity, your rib cage, which should also allow for some expansion and a little bit easier breathing. And when you feel comfortable in your seat, really find your sits bones and the chair or couch or whatever you may be sitting on. Really feel the strength of it. Let yourself fall into it. Let yourself be supported and be held by that chair or couch. And that allows for your body to know that it doesn't have to work. For in this particular meditation process, I invite everyone, instead of necessarily utilizing your third eye and going outward, but instead to go inward. And your body and energy field know how to do this without you having to effort. As a matter of fact, the only effort is in learning how to allow. So allow is the way to hand over the knowledge, the work, the effort to your own body, your own energy field. Nothing to do, no process to follow. Simply continue to allow yourself to feel the experience of your body as you sink down in your body. And again, saying that is one thing, doing that is another. For our challenges, our issues, our wounds, etc., the things that we experience every day, see going on in our world, cause our defense system to push our energy upward and try to handle everything through our will, our force, our minds. So this is a practice wherein we are remembering, by allowing our body and energy field to do the work, remembering what it's like to actually feel our bodies, feel our internal world. And you can assist that by saying to yourself or out loud, I am asking and I am allowing my body. I am asking and I am allowing my energy field. I am asking and I am allowing my wider self, which is your soul self. And your soul self certainly has your best interest always in the foreground. I am asking and I am allowing my guides, teachers, masters, helpers, and just really let yourself feel the asking. The asking is your heart's desire to be more at peace, more comfortable, more at ease, more in pleasure within yourself, within your body, within your life, within this world. And the allowing is the no doing, no efforting, no work, which is very, very challenging for most people. Even in meditations, we work, we have a goal, we reach for something. So I invite you instead to hand over that need to know and control to your own body, to your own soul self, to your own energy field that want always the very best for you and want you to be in and as and through your true self. Now I may continue to speak, calling in certain energetics or naming certain things that appear, but I would invite you to just let go of the words. No need to even follow them. I am oftentimes transmitting through my voice which those of you who are energy sensitive may have begun to feel already. So if it doesn't make any sense, don't worry. As a matter of fact, let go of the words and simply feel. That is the key to this process and to the invitation and allowing for all the many sources of light energies and forms of light that I've called in and named, and the many more that you are holding. And it can be as simple as a sparkle in your eye, or catching the sparkle of sunlight on some of the snow that is still in our area, or that which is reflected in a drop of water. And so now I am going to invoke the new way of law within the universe, which is a new form of spiritual law that allows for the new and the unformed and the unimagined to meet all the parties participating in this grand project. This universe played out on the game board of the earth, all its human inhabitants, its many animal inhabitants, plant inhabitants, tree inhabitants, fish, insects, clouds, weather patterns of all sorts. There are many participants in this project Earth, and they each come from their own galaxy. Wanting to be a part of this grand venture. Choosing as you have to anchor in particular knowledge, qualities, factors, energetics, ways of being. Along with the many worlds and realms and kingdoms that are perhaps at this time less visible or invisible, but are still interfaced with this planet Earth. Think of the many fantasy stories and books and movies, legendary mythological figures and tales. For those that are deeply tapped into their own way of being, your own inner verse, You may be very aware that those worlds and realms and kingdoms are concurrently existing, but in a different phase or dimension within this dimension. And actually, many clients that I've worked with, once they have achieved a certain level of sovereignty and knowing of self, are able to turn their axis and enter into these worlds or realms or shapeshift. It is all here. It is all part of this project we call Earth. With different focal points and locations on the planet itself that are portals. Doorways through which we are able to receive and send information, knowledge, energetic exchange, abilities, and so I am asking and I am allowing the elements, land, air, fire, and water, that in a myriad of forms make up the basic building blocks of this universe. And in their form here on this planet, are teachers, assistants, directly to us and for us. The land represented in our physical bodies, the air which we take for granted, our breathing ability, the water, the very spirit of these elements are within us. We are made up of primarily water. And fire. The spirit within, our passion, anger, our spiritual nature. So I invite you to create a relationship, a conversation with the elements on a daily basis. And in this moment, I call in and call upon those elements to put in right relationship our physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual bodies. I call in and call upon the directions to center us within ourselves, within and upon our own individual, unique path. And to guide us and bring us signs and indicators of our next best step on that pathway. And for this, I call in and call upon the direction of the east. It brings us illumination, the morning light. Represented by the animal teacher, eagle. For it flies high and closest to the sun. I call in and call upon the direction of the west, with Brother Bear teaching us introspection, how to go within our own cave at this time of the year particularly. To be quiet and still and internally oriented. I call in and call upon the direction of the south, represented by the playful sisters, porcupine and otter, reminding us of childlike wonder and awe and playfulness, innocence. Calling in and calling upon the direction of the north, overseen by Lady White Buffalo, bringing us patience, prayerfulness, wisdom, experience. As seen in the white hair of the elders. And I call in upon the direction of above, our star teachers, constellations, pulsars, planets, nebula, the many, many forms in the cosmos. And calling in and calling upon the direction of below, the hidden worlds within this planet. the mechanics and engineering of geology, the core of the earth. And finally, the direction of within. For you are the arbiter of your own destiny, and your choices and designs and wishes and dreams determine and create the reality within which we live. I am asking and I am allowing. Continue to let yourself feel whatever there is to feel. Experience in your own body, energy field, emotions, thoughts. For whatever is here is yours, is an offering to you. To assist you, guide you, teach you, remind you of who you truly are. Know thyself, for in knowing thyself, there comes freedom. And this Project Earth is the exploration, study, and activation of freedoms of all kinds. Many of which mankind has not known or had or been able to utilize and live from. For many, many, many millennia. For with great freedom also comes great power and great responsibility. Responsibility not in a burden or heavy way, but responsibility in a conscious way. For as we become more conscious, the doing or saying or even thinking of harmful, detrimental, diminishing, dismissive ways. Becomes intolerable to our own body being. One cannot cheat or lie or steal or hurt another, be it human, animal, plant, or insect. For you yourself feel that very harm, that very destructive, no outward laws or rules or power. But simply back to your true nature. For each and every one of us, our true nature, it is not natural to cause harm. It is not natural to take or use or abuse or control another. It simply doesn't feel good. For the more one knows oneself, the more sovereignty and sensation of your whole being is at your very fingertips. A way of being. Such that causing harm in any way to oneself or other becomes so uncomfortable or even painful that you simply cannot and do not. That internal compass, that internal gauge is what determines and directs and guides laws have evolved throughout our time as civilizations. but a new form of law arises when these internal determinants are our guides. Celebrate, honor, give praise and glory to yourself for being part of this grand experiment. It may not feel easy, but the reward of freedom, internal, human, spiritual, emotional freedom is unlike anywhere else in this universe. And you are here on purpose. With your unique, individual soul's expansion, that quite literally interfaces with this planet's evolution. You are vital, significant, as well as purposeful in this grand design. And all of us, not in the physical, bow to your courage, your determination, your persistence, and your deep soul's desires. And we are here. We are all in this together. Just ask, just seek, just know. And you are welcome to stay in this energy and keep dropping and allowing for more sensation, more discovery of yourself. Or if you so choose, Allow your energy field and your wider self to guide you, lead you, show you your own rhythm, pace, and way of integrating and consolidating and moving from what was perhaps a less physical experience of yourself back to a more physical 3D experience. And again, I invite you to re-listen and allow yourself to experience yourself in a new way by dropping down and in and feeling both the physical you and the non-physical you. For the more you know, the more you have. The more you have of you, the more you can choose. The more choice, the more freedom. And as always, it is with the greatest of honor, gratitude, and love for your presence here on the planet. Until next time, be well.